What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. I'm your host, Matthew McKim. As we all show up, I'm sure we all watched Barron's episode today. I was wondering how long he was going to go. I didn't want my show to start when he hadn't made it to the comments section yet. He went a lot longer than usual, but thank God the timing worked out. And right when he made it to the comments, I was like, perfect timing. I'm ready to go. And everyone probably saw Candace's show today. We're going to be getting into something that most people probably saw clips of back in September and October, but they never saw the full thing. And there is so much in this episode with Frank Turek. I was planning on just doing bits and pieces, but in the end, my timestamps, they're all the way through. So, I mean, it starts at like 11:42 and we end at, closer to the end. We don't need to listen to the end part, but man, there's so much. We need to analyze what was everyone saying so soon right after the event and looking at how has that stood up to the test of time now that we know more information. And everyone in the TPUSA camp, in my opinion, including Erica Kirk and Frank Turek and Rob McCoy, all of them, I don't need to name them all. We all know the circus that is that group. Why would they be lying about certain things, including Josh Hammer, Ben Shapiro, and Seth Dillon, right? And so I am going to play a clip from Candace Owens' episode today regarding Seth Dillon and the Hamptons meeting, because Frank talks about it. And it's interesting what he says Charlie said about it. And so it's pretty insightful. That'd be a great place to start. We're also going to look at something from Greg Laurie. Greg Laurie ended up having a campus crusade at UVU directly after the event on September 10th. A crusade that usually takes 6 months to a year, they planned in 6 weeks. Sounds a little like how they planned the UVU September 10th event, the Campus Prove Me Wrong event. Candace said that usually takes 6 months to a year, was planned in a few weeks. Frank Turek also had an event that followed the September 10th event, If God, Why Evil? And he just so happened to talk about everything that happened on September 10th. And I just have trouble believing that these are just coincidences that just ended up lining up just right. And so we're going to be taking a look at a few things. And if you guys don't know Greg Laurie, embroiled in the worst allegations regarding an orphanage in Romania, and a guy that he left to be in charge for decades, and he was sending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to in a personal account. It was widely known amongst the pastors in the community that this guy was bad news, that an investigation had to be mounted, and yet Greg Laurie swept it under the rug, in my opinion. And the guy was left there for another 4 years to have more victims for another 4 years. So this is the guy that Erica Kirk partners with, okay? And Rob McCoy. And if you guys remember the episode, he also has connections to a guy that did things to kids back in the day and actually was convicted of them. And then Rob had him on his show and did a fluff piece for him, even though it was not alleged, it was convicted. He was proven guilty of what was charged against him. These guys all have connections to this world that seems to be what we're dealing with in the Einstein files. It seems to be in every part of our political system and in most of the Calvary Chapel Christian movement, which is deeply troubling. When I talked about the FAR filings, right, the Show Faith by Works and the Clock Tower X filings, partnering with the Foreign Ministry of Philadelphia, okay, wink, wink, that they have been, since September 10th was the first day at that campus event, geotagging, tracking, and sending deliberate propaganda to Christians while at church on Sundays, and then even following after. And all the TPUSA events this year, the Make Heaven Crowdeds, and all the Harvest events are collecting data on everyone. If all you need to do is go watch some of Danks's content to find out, and I did some videos on it too. It is troubling the pastors that partnered and allowed this foreign government to send propaganda and collect all their congregants' information. All right. I lost my train of thought. We'll get right into it. Let me see my tab. All right.
On their social media platform, would you label that an anti-Semitic if you're looking into the context of what they're saying it, or if they just say it, Christ is king? Like,
it could be.
why
You
are we
have to
analyzing
look at the context. Yeah.
But I would say that's anti-Christian if you're analyzing why I'm saying Christ is king.
No, saying the phrase Jesus Christ is not taking the Lord's name in vain unless you're doing it in a certain context, right? There's context matters.
Yeah, so going back to Candace Owens, when she worked for Daily Wire, your friend Ben fired her because she said Christ is king.
And I never said that what she said was anti-Semitic.
Okay, but you're calling her an anti-Semite.
Oh, yes, because she said way worse than that.
Okay, let's move on, because everyone seems to be obsessed with Candace. My last question, why were you at the Hamptons?
Can just real quick,
why were you at the Hamptons?
Do you think that anything Candace has said is anti-Semitic?
No, I don't.
Nothing, ever. That's interesting.
I mean, I listen to her daily.
You should look up more.
I haven't heard one thing out of her mouth that I would say is anti-Semitic.
I literally watch her every day. I've gone back and watched old content of hers. She has not said anything that is anti-Semitic. And I want to put this out there, okay? My wife has Jewish heritage and family that is Jewish. I am in no way anti-Semitic. And what they love to do, they meaning the Zionists that are the ones that were attacking Charlie, is that if you criticize the government of Israel and its leaders and the things that they are doing as a government, they say that's anti-Semitic. We're not talking about the Jewish people or even their religion. We're criticizing actions of a foreign government, and our freedom of speech protects us of that. But yet we can't even do that here. Why? And that's what Charlie was up against. And the big picture is this. They want us to swallow the narrative, and they don't want us looking into this at all. And they're lying about the Hamptons. They lied about the text messages because they know that if and when, and we will, like Barron said, we're not giving up on this. He said it in relation to Erica Kirk, but I'm saying big picture. They know once we pin down that this is what Charlie was talking about when he said, they are going to kill me. When he said, they leave me no choice. I have to leave the pro-Israel cause. That if we pin this down as the thing that was troubling Charlie so much, it will point directly to motive. That's why they are trying so hard to slander anyone, label anyone an anti-Semite that is looking down this road. And it is despicable. All right, let's finish this part.
Of setting the groundwork for, she decides to move to the topic of the Hamptons, and here is what Seth Dillon had to say.
Oh, and I mean, Candace Owens needs no introduction, but please, if you have not subscribed to her channel, please go over there, subscribe, hit the likes, go watch her content. Phenomenal. Huge fan.
The Hamptons meeting was a retreat called by Charlie. It was I don't know if many of you are familiar with this. I'll give you a little context, but there was a claim that was made that an intervention was staged with Charlie, where people pulled him into a room in a very aggressive manner, pressured and blackmailed him because they felt like he was straying away from his support for Israel. That was the claim. The Hamptons retreat, and that was the Hamptons retreat was characterized that way. It was not like that. There were about 30 people there, handpicked and invited by Charlie personally. He brought us there. He stood at the front of the room with a microphone throughout the thing. The theme of it was Save the West. His primary focus.
Yeah, the West, we are the West. And they like to tie Israel to this statement, the West, and that like, if we don't protect and save Israel, we can't save and protect the West. That's just a theme that I've seen in a lot of the content I've been watching lately, whether that be Ben Shapiro's or, oh my God, Josh Hammer's or Seth Dillon's.
Focus was on the threat of Islam, the problem of Islam. There was heated and spirited debate about the issue of Israel in the room, but it was debate that Charlie himself initiated, and he wanted to hear different perspectives on it. And so we voiced a lot of our perspectives. One of the things that I disagreed with him on was he said that, you know, if you're...
Look, Charlie is smart. I think he know why he called this meeting. He wanted it on full display, who was for him and who was against him, who was going to exert more pressure, hail more threats at him, whether that be to remove money or you better not do this or God's hand will be lifted off of you, Charlie. If he did call this event and he did handpick those 30 individuals there, and it is those 30 individuals that Andrew Colvett is the source that told Candace about what happened and how it felt like an intervention and that Charlie felt threatened by it. Why would Andrew lie about that? And remember, Andrew hasn't really lied about anything. The things that Erica has said he lied about were things she lied about. So it's not like we can't actually, I mean, he's lied about other things in relation to Tyler Robinson and things like that. But in relation to him being the source of information to Candace, the things he's relayed to Candace, I believe, have been true.
If you're not sufficiently supportive of Israel, it can be really ruinous for you in a position like his.
Yeah.
If you criticize Israel at all, they'll try to, denigrate you and destroy you and call you names, call you anti-Semitic, etc. And it can ruin you. And I said, yeah, certainly that's true, but it can also be very costly to stand up to those people. And I gave the example of my own experience where I criticized the critics of Israel, and they tried to destroy me.
Boo-hoo, Seth. Freaking boo-hoo, victim. Come on.
And so, we can all, whine and cry about the consequences of what might happen if we say certain things, but everybody has a right to give their opinion and say what they think. So there was back and forth like that, but there were many people.
Except Charlie. Charlie didn't have that right? He didn't have that right. He was trying to exert that right. And that's where all of this pressure and threats came from, when he was just trying to speak his opinion. And the same thing has happened to Megyn Kelly. And we've played that video of them on the show together talking about this very thing, that criticizing the country of Philadelphia is not the same as being anti-Semitic. But that's the accusation. That's what is being claimed.
That came out and made statements afterwards that it was completely mischaracterized. And that was really evil what she did, to lie about a situation like that and try to portray it as though the Jews.
No, she was reporting what Andrew Colvett told her. That's all she was doing. She didn't characterize anything in any way other than report what had been told to her from Andrew Colvett.
Were trying to blackmail Charlie. That resulted in death threats.
She never said that.
She absolutely said that.
No, she didn't.
She put my face on a movie poster for I Know What You Did Last Summer, suggesting that I had a role in his murder.
Wait. I Know What You Did Last Summer isn't suggesting anything in specific. It is very vague. But you are adding that it is in relation to last summer. And that's interesting that your mind connects that. Like, I know she knew that, but the title itself, we're going to see that AI movie logo in a second. It just says, I Know What You Did Last Summer with pictures on it. Everyone else has to add the context, dude. And you just gave it to us.
I played a role in his murder. That's why someone tried to kill me and my family and got arrested in Texas.
Oh my God.
I just love Zionists. No matter what, they can be a victim. She put my name on it. She put my face in a thumbnail of I know what you did last summer. An
There it
objectively
is.
hilarious thing that I did.
Yes, an objectively hilarious thing that you did. Okay. All right. We're going to hop over here. And so this is Greg Laurie. All right. Let me make sure it's sharing on the screen. Awesome. And I'm not going to play the whole video. I mean, man, I've been chasing down so many rabbit holes, watching so many things. And yeah, I'll have to do other future videos. My whole preparation for today, I wasn't planning on doing the whole Frank Turek video. Holy smokes, though, like the whole thing. And it is beyond telling and insightful as to, yeah, so many things. We'll get into it, but let me just play this real quick.
Broken. And we had been talking to pastors in Utah prior to that about doing a crusade eventually. So we had put a tentative date down of 2027, I think it was. And so after Charlie was killed, we contacted the pastors there in Utah and said, is there anything we can do? And they said, yes, come sooner. And so we thought, how soon could we come? And we found a date and an availability actually at UVU, the very university where this happened. And so it was 6 weeks away. You know, Billy, normally it takes 6 months to a year to put a crusade together, and we put it together in 6 weeks. That's the first part of the miracle.
Another first, ladies and gentlemen. This is the situation of many firsts. Look, I do want to bring something up, okay? Because the big picture is this. If the goal, I mean, if what Danks is laying out is true, and I think it's very, very compelling, right? That this whole surveillance state and this tracking and this data collection and, you know, Jake Hoffman and Stacey Sheridan and Lori Franzwe being, well, Stacey's not on the board, but Jake Hoffman and, you know, Lori Franzwe being on the board, a super feed and all these connections, and then the FARA filings and everything, they're all connected. And then with what they're going to try to do at all these future events, that imagine, what about all the American citizens that aren't Christian, that don't go to churches, that don't go to these harvest events or TPUSA events? How would they collect their data? It just so happens that because of Charlie Kirk's assassination, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of individuals that would never have before gone to a church, given their life to Christ, did so because of that day. And it just so happens the net that they cast gathered so many more people. And the memorial is proof of that. How many people showed up and how many people are continuing to show up. And the churches and the pastors on that list continue to say that they're seeing Easter level numbers day in and day out since September 10th. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was part of this. I think one tragic assassination can fit many motives, much like the Twin Towers and what it did. It did many things, many things. All right, let's move on. Okay, here's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. All right, let me share this. Yeah, here it is. All right, let me make it big. Why? Well, let me show my face while I do this, guys. All right. We need to ask ourselves a difficult question. Why has everyone since the date of the assassination been calling Charlie Kirk a Christian martyr? Yes, he was a Christian. Yes, he proclaimed his faith. But is that why he was assassinated? It fits the theory, the left versus right theory. It fits the official FedSlop narrative theory. But if that's false, which I believe it is, if that's a lie, then he wasn't assassinated for his faith. He was assassinated for his stance on Philadelphia. And that would not fit the bill for a martyr. So why? Why do that? Well, it goes back to what they're doing with the data collection, but it also, they wanted us to be deeply triggered by this event. That's why it was broadcast in 4K. That's why they framed it as a left versus right. Look at all the ICE riots. A huge thing that's going on right now is them trying to foment what I believe to be a civil war between the left and the right. Because if he wasn't a Christian martyred, we wouldn't feel directly at risk and vulnerable as Christians. Not for the way that they want us to, not from the left. Like they're wanting us to just swallow that pill. Like Charlie was taken out because he was a Christian and the left did it. Well, no, I don't think so. So then why are they saying that? They want us to feel unsafe. They want, and that's why they're using like military language and TPUSA, marching orders, lockstep. They're framing this as a fight. We need to get ready for war. It's not by accident, guys. They're pushing us into something. And it doesn't look good. All right, so let's look at this. It'll be quick and then we'll get on to the video, okay? I mean, it's pretty simple that the basic criteria for like what is a martyr, yeah, we know what it makes. You have to be a Christian first. All right, here. The person was a genuine follower, yes, and they were killed specifically because of their faith, okay? Not random violence, not war, not crime, not personal disputes, okay? Which I do think it's a personal dispute that he had with Philadelphia and those that were donating to TPUSA, right? It says their death was connected to their witness, preaching, refusing to deny Christ, standing firm in their faith. Okay. And yeah, they give other, the references, right? The scripture references for it. And yeah, I don't think he was confessing his Christ. He wasn't confessing Christ publicly when he was assassinated, right? He wasn't refusing to recant that when he was assassinated, right? He wasn't executed because of that confession. He does not fit the bill for a Christian martyr. And that might be controversial, but it only is, I think, for those that are trying to make us believe the left versus right and that a trans Tifa furry 22-year-old did this. Because if he didn't do it, which I don't think he did, then I don't think he was martyred for his faith. I think it was for the other thing. All right, let's get into Frank Turek. This is on September 16th. Keep this in mind, 6 days after the event in UVU. His memory should not be clouded. It should be crystal. It gets fuzzier the further away you get from the date. Nothing he says here should contradict anything, but it does. It's going to contradict many things that Erica has said, Andrew has said, many people have said. I'm surprised no one has dived into this. I mean, it's painful to watch him, but we'll do it. I will give my commentary, and that is what will get us through.
What would you say to someone who had 90 seconds to live? Check this out. Here it is.
And I just want to play this because it's interesting why he does this, okay? This is a question that was posed to Charlie just months before September 10th.
What would you actually want to tell me if I have 30 seconds left to live?
Boy, you got 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, you're about to meet eternal judgment. And there's only one way that you can get bailed out of that. And it's not all the good things you did or the moral scorecard. It's whether or not you have Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
If he was assassinated here, talking about Christ and being asked to publicly recant this statement, and then the person saying, well, you're not going to recant, then I take you out, then I could understand him being called a martyr.
That's the only thing that's going to matter. And so you got 10 seconds left. You're dying from a gunshot wound. And you ask the question, who is Jesus Christ? And the answer to that singular question, who is Jesus Christ, is the most important question for everyone in the audience. Not how much money you have, not how much good stuff you do. It is, who is Jesus Christ? You might say, oh, Jesus was, a teller of good tales, or Jesus was a good person, or Jesus was a historical figure. None of that's going to cut it. It's whether or not you repent and you ask Christ to come in as your Lord and Savior. That's the only thing that will save you from eternal damnation.
Charlie was all about the gospel. Tragically, he mentioned you had a gunshot wound. You had 30 seconds to live. We'll see a little bit later that even with the gunshot wound, Charlie didn't have 30 seconds to live. When Charlie asked me to help him prepare to answer questions about controversial biblical doctrines, such as, say, the role of women in the church, he wrote this just a week ago. He said, give me answers that are, quote, really biblical. No pandering to the gods of this age, unquote. And he also knew the power and privilege of prayer. A month ago, he wrote me this: please pray for me. I'm under the gun on something right now. Prayers appreciated.
That is telling. That was in August, because this is September 16th, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie emails Frank and says, I'm under the gun, something serious. Please pray for me. What was happening in August? The Hamptons? The Hamptons and the Aspen meetings? Oh, yep. July and August? Yeah, that's what was going on. And Charlie messaged Frank, pray for me. I'm under something fierce. I'm under the gun. Please pray for me.
So Charlie was all about Jesus. Jesus was the most important aspect of his life. Secondly, only second to Jesus was his family. The family was second only to Jesus. This is last Monday, 2 days before he was murdered. Charlie and I went on one of our evening walks. We would meet during the day, and then he'd go have dinner with the family. And he said, hey, could we go on a walk? Say maybe about 8:30. I said, sure, let's go on a walk. So we did this several times over the summer. Charlie and I were together almost every month. We were together in May, we were together in June, together in early August, and together in September, leading right up to his death. And just about every one of those visits, when I was in Phoenix, he would say, hey, let's go for a walk. So we'd go for like an hour walk, always with a bodyguard right behind us. But it was dark, and he would ask me, what do I say if I get this question? What do I say if I get that question? He knew most of the answers already. He was just looking to fine tune himself. Anyway, when I got to where he lived, I texted him. I said, okay, I'm here. And he said, okay, coming out. And then a minute later, he said, shortly, Gigi just woke up.
That's important, because if we remember the timeline that Candace put forth, this is on the 9th. Erica's unaccounted for. It's not that he's handing her off to Erica. He's there alone. He's the one that has to go help Gigi. If Erica were there, he has an engagement. Charlie would just be like, hey, Erica, grab Gigi. I'm going outside. Frank is here. We're going on a walk. But that's not what happened, because Erica's unaccounted for and she's not there.
So he didn't say, hey, Erica, handle Gigi.
Because she's not there. He
did.
Yeah, he did.
And then I just waited, which was great. His family should come first. Now, that night, we walked for over an hour. And the top two issues he wanted to talk about the most were the resurrection of Jesus. Because if the resurrection's true, as he and I spoke many times, Christianity's true. Everything just falls into place. If the resurrection's not true, forget it. It's false. And the other thing he wanted to talk about that night was how to convince young people of the importance of marriage and family. You may have seen a recent survey where Trump voters, the men, their number one goal in life was to get married. Women Trump voters, it was like number 5 or 6. For women Harris voters, it was like 12 out of 13. And Charlie wanted people to understand the beauty of marriage. He wanted to show the world how beautiful marriage and family are, and how he was so blessed to have a family with Erica. And so we talked a lot about that.
Here's the thing, though. The days and weeks leading up to the 9th, Barron reported on his show last night, he has spoken to people that personally knew Erica and Charlie, and there were issues that were arising, big ones. And I can't wait for Barron to report on what that is and what those issues were. But it would make sense why Charlie might have been sleeping in the other room, why Charlie wouldn't have had his wedding band on the night before, why Erica didn't kiss him goodbye the morning of. That would make sense. And Barron's not going to report that unless he has already corroborated it. He just hasn't said any of the specifics, but he at least told us that last night.
That Charlie just tweeted out, speaking of the resurrection, on August 31st. It said, the resurrection of Jesus is a fact of history. It really happened. Jesus rose from the dead. 6.5 million views. By the way, Andrew Colvet, who produces Charlie's show, said leading up to the election last year, Charlie's content got 15 billion views. He was the most important influencer for young people under 30.
That's interesting, Frank. In a couple minutes, you're going to say Tyler Boyer was the reason why Trump got elected, that it wasn't Charlie, but it was Tyler that got Trump into the White House. And I find that to be interesting because no one knew who Tyler was. Maybe he was a strategic political planner and he had some ideas, but Charlie rallied everyone, and everyone did turn out and vote because of Charlie, not because of Tyler.
15 billion views. Charlie's also devoted to his family, and the one way he did that was to observe the Sabbath. He just wrote a book. It's going to be coming out shortly. He asked me to review it just for theological purposes.
And we got to figure out if that's a true statement, right? Because we know that Candace reported that he told Megan in July that he was still writing the book. But if he did indeed ask Frank to review it, I mean, he would have been done with it then. You don't ask him to review it if you're not done with it. So I'll do some research into that as well. But it's interesting that he's saying that.
If I had any insights, I reviewed the whole book. It is an excellent book. There's a lot of great theology in it. He gives in there the reasons to think the Sabbath is binding on Christians and reasons to think it isn't. But he says, regardless of that, you ought to obey it. And he explains why it was such a cathartic thing to do for him and his family, to shut his phone off and just spend 24 hours with his family. Look for that book to come out soon. So,
I mean, I also think that Charlie was a really good man. I didn't realize I was going to get as choked up as I did watching that clip of him answering that question in the beginning. Like I said, I used to watch Charlie every day. And it's weird how you can feel like you know someone, even though you've never met them in person. You've only watched them through a screen. But, oh my goodness, I can't believe I lost my train of thought. All right, I'll get back to you.
Charlie was all about Jesus. He was, secondly, all about his family. Number 3, and you know this, it's so
I remember.
inspiring.
There we go. So, okay. Charlie was on the road 300 to 320 days a year. As a father, I know I feel guilty when I work a lot. And I know I try to make up for that with the time I spend with my wife and kids. I believe he did believe the Sabbath was important. But I also think he did it because it wouldn't be right for him to be gone that much and then still, when he's home, only give his wife and kids half of his attention and time. I do believe he respected and honored and observed the Sabbath, and he saw the importance of it. But I also think, just as a human, there must have been some level of just human, nature, just being a father, some guilt of being gone as much as he was. I feel it. Even I didn't work as much as him. I wasn't gone as much as him. And so I also think the reason why that became something so important to him was a way for him to make up for how much he was gone.
But I need to say it. Charlie had courage. A few months ago, there was some violent act in the news, and I texted him and I said, I hope you've increased your security detail. He texted me back. He said, quote, I have. I know they want me dead.
So he said it here when Frank said, you should increase your security. I know they want me dead. And then he also says that same statement the night of September 9th, after the video Zoom meeting with Josh Hammer and the rabbi, the priest, in connection to everything that happened in the Hamptons and Aspen, following that text that came from Lori Cardoza Moore, after he sent the text that I have no other option but to leave the pro-Israel cause, Frank will say he doesn't know who they are. Well, if he was as close to Charlie as he claims he was, there's no way he didn't, unless Charlie didn't trust him to tell him this stuff. That's the only thing I can think of, is that Charlie didn't trust him all the way. He had him near him for the things he needed him for, apologetics, fine-tuning his craft, but that he wasn't going to tell a fellow Calvary Chapel Zionist, possibly military plant project mocking pastor, how he really felt and the fears he really had about who he thought would really take him out.
And I don't know who he meant by they.
We do.
Maybe just radicals on the left.
No.
But that didn't stop him from exposing himself to danger. No. Look, Charlie didn't really like the word safe. He knew that ministry required you to take risks, just like love requires you to take risks.
Yeah, but not to be stupid. A nice try, Frank. Not to be careless. He was highly intelligent. He loved his kids. I don't know where he stood at the end about Erica. It sounds like we're going to find out he was done. That's what it sounds like. But there's no way he didn't care about being there for his kids growing up. I think he trusted Brian Harple and his security team and Dan Flood. I think that was one of his big mistakes. I think he thought they were actually protecting him and keeping him safe.
Sure, you can protect your heart if you don't give it away to anyone else. But if you give it away to someone else, you're risking it being broken. Charlie knew that if he wanted to do ministry, he had to risk himself. So safety was not his top priority. Loving people by highlighting Jesus was his top priority. That required him to expose himself to danger. Now, he did take precautions, obviously. There was a security team there, and I'll get to that here a little bit later. But he thought it was worth the risk to love people where they were on campus. Sure, he could have brought it inside, but when it's inside, you're not going to get as big a crowd as outside, and you're not going to be able to attract people walking by. And Charlie wanted to reach out to the world. Also, he wasn't afraid to be politically incorrect, to say something true that no one else would risk saying, even if it meant his opponents would twist and attempt to smear his reputation. Let me give you.
Think about that with the concept of Philadelphia. I know he's not talking about that, but I think he's right. But I think if you attribute what he's saying to what Charlie was actually doing at the end, I think that's exactly what he was doing with Philadelphia.
An example of this. He rightfully pointed out, now this is saying this in this culture, you're going to get hammered for this, but I think he's right. He rightfully pointed out that although well-intended, the civil rights legislation made us more race-focused rather than less. And I think if you're being fair, it's hard to argue with that. Certainly, segregation was wrong and it needed to be corrected. But you don't correct old racism by introducing new racism. For some of the good that the civil rights legislation brought us, it certainly didn't bring us our goal of a race-neutral society. In fact, Charlie and I were recently talking about the different, people say we're a colorblind society. Enthusiasm they had for what they were doing, and particularly working for Charlie. And he was just, he was in the aw shucks mode. That's what my wife later said. So he was humble. You need humility. That's why he got so good at what he did, because he asked everybody for advice. He had other mentors. It wasn't just me. He had people all around him that would help him to go from great to the greatest at what he did. Also, number 5, he was brilliant and gifted in so many ways. He was really good at everything. Obviously, he was good at leadership. Look what he built. I mean, he comes out of high school. He's 18 years old. And he winds up building TPUSA, which is the greatest grassroots conservative political organization maybe in the history of the country, for all I know.
I mean, yes and no. Bill McGovern fronted the money. There were other people. It's not like he did it from the bottom up by himself. He for sure was the brains of a lot of it and the talent of a lot of it. But it's like those stories of like Jeff Bezos and Steve Jobs, like they started it in their garage with nothing. And then you learn out who their family is. And it's just part of the story.
No, it certainly is the biggest now. And he's a real good judge of character and talent. Now, a little bit later.
That's interesting. He's setting the stage for future. Well, I mean, at this point, I think people were already starting to question him, Brian Harple, Dan Flood, Mikey McCoy, Blake Neff, and starting to ask, what's up with all this weird stuff going on? And one of the claims that they continually make is that Charlie was just so good at everything. Do you really believe that he was so bad at judging character, at picking friends? Well, I think I've made a pretty good case that that was the thing he wasn't good at, out of all the things he was great at. And it looks like the same thing happened with Erica Kirk. She pulled it over on him, the wool over his eyes. I don't think he knew what he was getting into. And look at what Barron laid out. She'd been sheep dipped to cover up her actual past. He went over her timeline. Okay, I don't think a woman that's saying she was that everyone should save their self for marriage. And yeah, I agree with that. But a woman that moved to Puerto Rico and in China, and she was living with this athlete, you really think, and they're like in their 20s, that nothing was happening? The same woman that went on those dating podcasts or dating shows, and I don't drink, I didn't date, all those were lies. And yet, this is the individual we're supposed to believe Charlie chose and believed was good. Well, it would make sense if this was the thing he was really bad at, and that the people around him were able to convince him that they were genuine, but they weren't, in my opinion.
Later, I'm going to tell you about some of the talent that Charlie selected when we get to the end of the podcast here about what happened on that terrible Wednesday. And he was really great at connecting with people. The chief of staff of President Trump, Susie Wiles, just said this yesterday when Vice President Vance filled in for the Charlie Kirk show. Susie Wiles said, Charlie never talked at you. He always talked to you, and he listened. Charlie was also a great coalition builder. You know, Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson obviously don't agree on the Israel situation. But Charlie
And Ben didn't agree, and Charlie didn't agree with Ben on the Israel's situation either. You can just reference the PBD podcast. He said it very clear. Bibi and Philadelphia was going to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And then I was looking at clips on the day before September 10th. He had Ben Shapiro on his show, and he point blank asked him. We'll go over that when I do Josh Hammer's video breakdown on the day after the assassination, because these two people have tried to hijack that, his legacy and insert themselves into TPUSA, and that they were so good friends with Charlie and they weren't. And Ben was fuming when Charlie asked him that point blank. But Charlie didn't agree with Ben either. Him and Tucker agreed. He told Tucker to go max. Him, Tucker, and Dave Smith, they were much more in agreement on their stance on Philadelphia.
Knew that he wanted to keep people like Ben and Mark Levin and Tucker Carlson all under the same tent. He kept a coalition between them for the greater good of the country. He knew that getting 80% of what you wanted was better than getting zero. And in politics, you never get 100% of what you want. So he was really good at keeping people who, if they didn't have somebody like Charlie as the glue between them, might have gone in different directions. He kept them, as Ben Shapiro just said, he kept their ships, our ships, all going in the same direction. He was a coalition builder. He was also a man of action. A couple of months ago, I sent him an article about a clause in the big, beautiful bill that would inadvertently hurt Christian schools. Charlie said, thanks, and he immediately called Senator Rick Scott, and he fixed it. Boom, right away. He turned also into a great apologist. James Lindsay, who was an atheist, but is now kind of an agnostic, tweeted out, or I think he sent to, he put a tweet out and then he sent it to Charlie. And he said, with all this evil in the world, I'm really starting to believe in Satan. And Charlie sent a 4-word response back. Here's what he said. If Satan, then God. And James was blown away because he's at.
That's weird, because the speaking engagement that you do just after September 10th is titled, If God, Why Evil? Sounds pretty similar, Frank.
Absolutely right. If there's evil, there has to be good, because evil is a lack in a good thing. Evil doesn't exist on its own. It's a privation in good. Evil is like cancer. If you take all the cancer out of a good body, you got a better body. What happens if you take all the body out of the cancer? You got nothing. It doesn't exist on its own. Evil is like rust in a car. If you take all the rust out of a car, you got a better car. What happens if you take all the car out of the rust? You got a Pinto. You got to be old enough to know that joke, but you get the idea. Evil can't exist unless good exists, but good can't exist unless God exists. So if Satan exists, God exists. Satan is a fallen angel. Metaphysical reality can't be evil alone. Metaphysical reality is good. Anything that is a deprivation or a privation in metaphysical reality is what we call evil. We might say evil is anti-creation. God creates something good and then we degrade it. And Charlie knew that. Charlie also, as everyone has to know, is extremely hardworking. Just before he went to Utah Valley, he took, get this, a 72-hour trip to hit Korea and Japan. This is in the last week of September. In fact, he got back Sunday night, and I flew in Sunday night to meet with him on Monday, Tuesday, and then go to the event on Wednesday.
And that's why they were together at that the night before, and they did the walk together the night before. But remember, Candace said she can't place Frank there. I don't know. We'll find out if whether or not he was actually there. I'll look into it as well. But she said it's most likely he could have been on the walk, but the person that saw them on a walk, they saw someone much taller walking with Charlie. It's possible Frank was walking with him first and then left. I mean, but Frank says they used to walk for hours.
And so I think he left Wednesday night, and I saw that he was doing a Freedom Night in America on that Wednesday night. And Freedom Night in America, I'm like, Charlie, I thought you were heading to Japan. He goes, after Freedom Night. So I texted him. I said, you need to learn how to cram more into each day. And he texted back, I'm working on being less lazy. Well, mission accomplished, ladies and gentlemen. And then, by the way, Andrew.
I mean, just keep in mind, this is freaking 6 days after, and he was there. I mean, man, I don't know that I'd be making jokes at all, that this would be funny at all, that any of it, and you're recalling your friend that you just watched publicly be assassinated, and you're talking about him like this is something that was 20 years ago. It's just so off.
Just said this, and
you'll see he's going to pretend to cry. No tears, much like Erica, much like everyone at TPUSA. He's going to change his affect and make his voice crack and, sound like he's preparing to cry, but then like immediately recovers and never cries and never becomes emotional. Even when he's talking about, and we'll get to the breakdown of that day.
And Charlie told it to me too. When he went to Japan, Japan has very few Christians, but they love Charlie. And he preached the gospel to the leaders and the audience he was meeting with in Japan. He wanted to show them the truth. He was really an evangelist. Again, Jesus was number one. Also, he loved young people and wanted to prepare himself to serve them. Just before he was going on the trip, he texted me, I have 22 hours of flights to Asia. Please send me more to read/prepare. And then he said, I'm really excited. I would love for you to review some of my old footage and would love your thoughts on best ways to proceed. I am taking prep for this tour more seriously than any other prior, unquote. So when
and I mean, he's reading what seems to be an email from Charlie. And so, I mean, one of Candace's critiques was that Charlie didn't need any help. Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think he needed help. But I think Charlie, being smart, would probably always want to learn and grow and find new approaches and tactics and how to answer this, how to ask that. He was always learning and growing. I mean, so I do believe he probably was asking some people. I don't think he was asking Josh Hammer or Ben Shapiro. I think he was asking Frank.
He's going in there on Wednesday. He is studied up. Also, Charlie was kind to the students who disagreed with him. I mean, he would always say, hey, people who disagree, if you disagree, come to the front of the line. And of course, that's what.
Yeah, but they would have you believe that he was so insulting and rude that it pissed the left off, and these two kids in Orem, Utah, so much that out of nowhere they planned this event and pulled it off. No, because we've all watched his stuff. He never really was like that. He didn't really trigger. I mean, yeah, he had some haters, and the F America tour followed him around. Hunter Kozak was there. He was a paid agitator. But for the most part, Charlie didn't have that much hate, thrown at him. A lot of the people that came to his events were supporters. There was a few that would come up and not be kind.
True fascists do. They give the microphone to their opponents. Isn't it just incredibly absurd how people label somebody like Charlie a fascist? That this killer really honestly thought he was a fascist. Ladies and gentlemen, newsflash. Fascists don't.
And that he's putting forth the Fed slop narrative, and Tyler Robinson, that's what he's talking about. And they wanted us to believe that all these people on the left believed he was a fascist and hateful. And that's why this young kid and his boyfriend planned this. But nothing points to them being connected to this in any way. Maybe we'll see if they were somehow unwitting patsies, dropping things off, picking things up. But I don't know. I don't see that. I don't think that at all. I think much more the road mic and the electrocution theory and people around him and those that really had motive, like Philadelphia and people within TPUSA.
Give the microphone to their opponents. They kill their opponents. It's madness how deceived people have become, how demonic forces are at work. Let me point out one thing about Charlie and debating young people. He understood, and many other people don't understand this. Most of the time when you're debating someone, you're not going to convince the person you're debating. He or she is too dug into their position. You are there to show grace and truth to someone who is against you in the hope of planting a seed that will flourish later. And maybe more importantly, here's what many don't get. You're there to plant a seed to persuade others who are watching the debate. Lee Strobel famously called this ricochet evangelism, right? You think you're talking to one person, but the people watching are the ones actually being blessed. Greg Kokel, my friend, would say that most evangelism is planting or watering. It's not harvesting. It's gardening. It's not harvesting. It's moving people along. It's planting seeds and watering seeds. It's moving people toward Jesus and away from their old worldview. You don't get them to the foot of the cross in every conversation. And remember, as Charlie understood, when you're answering a question, you're answering a person, not just a question. Also, Charlie was loyal. If two of his friends disagreed, he would never speak ill of them or try and pit one against the other.
Yeah. But it's fascinating that the people that were around him, in my opinion, like Josh Hammer, Ben Shapiro, and those, Seth Dillon, that's exactly what they did to him. And him and Megan say this much on that episode that they did together. They couldn't understand that people that had supported them and that were friends and they've known for years could start calling them anti-Semites and hateful, especially when you say it yourself, he would never have done that. That's why I don't think these were his friends. And I don't think Charlie realized these people were all using him. And I don't think Charlie was a good judge of who to keep around him and who not to.
In 5 years of close contact with Charlie Kirk and in many private meetings, let me say that again, I never heard Charlie engage in gossip or backstabbing or negative talk that wasn't justified. I mean, if somebody was wrong, he would say that, but he would never gossip or backstab people. Never.
But the people around him did that exact thing to him. So that tells you, and he never, I don't think he saw that coming. He was surprised by it. He said it so much on the Megyn Kelly. Him and Megan both were like, they just couldn't believe what was happening. To me, that means he was very surprised with the reaction he was getting from those people he thought he knew, which means he didn't really know those people, but he was beginning to figure it out, which means I don't think he was a good judge in the first place of who and who should not be around him, including Erica.
Also, he was generous and completely other focused. He asked me to minister to people on his team because he loved them. He invited me look, apologetics is not mainstream. I'm nobody. But he invited me to all the major TPUSA events, including AmFest and the Believer Summit. In fact, in July of 2024, this is right after President Trump was shot. That Believer Summit was scheduled, and it was supposed to be 2 days, Friday night, all day Saturday, and it was in Palm Beach, Florida. And at the very last minute, President Trump said he would like to come. I don't know how it worked out, whether he wasn't president at the time, but he was running, as you know. And he asked Charlie, can I speak? Or Charlie asked him to speak. And it was only 3 miles from Mar-a-Lago. So he came. And this was the first speech that Trump gave after after they took the bandage off his ear. And so he was going to speak on Friday night. So the whole schedule needed to be changed. And Charlie put me as one of the few speakers to precede the president on Friday night. Me, who am I?
Yeah, who are you, Frank?
I mean, he had the director of the RNC, he had Ben Carson, he had others, and he picks me? And he had complete trust in me, even though he knew I didn't agree with President Trump on everything. But of course, who does? In fact, I said in the speech, I said, look, I don't agree with President Trump on everything. I agree with 90% of what he's doing. I don't even agree with 90% of what I'm doing.
What? You don't agree with 90% of what you're doing. Why don't you agree with 90% of what you're doing? That is just a bizarre statement. That's insane.
Okay. But
yeah, I think you
Charlie
realize
trusted
it.
me and he was gracious to me, even though he didn't need to be.
I agree with that.
Charlie also built people up. He was very complimentary to everybody.
So this is the first fake emotional grab at us where he gets all worked up, but then nothing comes of it. It'll happen like 3 or 4 times throughout the show.
Every day I would, for the past month or so, I would send him a one-liner because he liked some of my one-liners I would use on college campuses. Because, look, people would say, you know, what are the hardest questions to answer? And actually, the answer is not that everyone has all the answers, but most of the questions aren't hard to answer. They're just hard to answer in 2 minutes. That's all the time you have sometimes. You have to kind of compress things down and put them in pithy sayings. And so I would send him one every day, except on the Sabbath. And one of the ones I sent him recently was, when accused of judging, say this. Why are you judging me for judging? So he writes back, so good. He's got like 20 O's in good with a bunch of exclamation points. He says, you are a true friend. And then he sent me, after we met in August and he wanted me to come back in September, he said, thank you so much for everything. I feel like a real breakthrough has happened. Because we were talking a lot about really tactics on how to answer questions, partially from Greg Kokel's book and partially from some of the things that I've learned. How do you ask a question of the questioner that would expose the assumption that they have? And
this was the time frame when the Hamptons and the Aspen meetings were happening. I don't think he was just asking for the future campus events that were coming up. I think he was trying to figure out how to handle the people that were pressuring him and threatening him. How can I ask a question of the questioner, which will expose their presuppositions?
How can you identify self-defeating statements easily? We worked on that a lot. And so he felt like that was a breakthrough. Finally, let me say this, that Charlie maintained his integrity in the face of temptation. I know this for a fact because I was with him. In August, he got this long text from a donor who gave over $1 million a year to TPUSA. And they were essentially threatening to pull funding because the donor didn't like something Charlie had said on a disputable matter, not an essential matter.
He knows exactly what this is about, but won't say it outright. He knows this is about Philadelphia, but he won't say it. So this is that conversation that Candace is she's referenced. The donor that pulls out millions of dollars because he won't do and say a certain thing about Philadelphia. Why won't Frank just be honest about what it is? Why is he being shady about the whole part of this? To me, that brings into question his whole integrity, and we can't trust anything that he tries to say as fact. He's suspect at this point now.
But on a disputable matter, but this donor thought it was essential to them. But Charlie wasn't going to give in or compromise for money. And I said to him, Charlie, this is one of the many reasons I love you. You're not going to compromise the truth for money. In fact, on that last walk on Monday night, we talked about the Modesto Manifesto. He hadn't heard of it, but he was doing it anyway. The Modesto Manifesto is something the Billy Graham organization pledged to themselves. The principles of the Billy Graham organization pledged to themselves in Modesto, California, probably in the late 1940s. And they realized there were 3 things that could tarnish their reputation and put a black eye on the cause of Christ. And those three things are sex, money, and power. So what they agreed to do was to never be in the same room with another woman who was not their wife alone. And of course, Charlie said, yeah, that's the Mike Pence rule. I said, yeah, it's the Mike Pence rule, but he got it from Billy Graham. Remember, I'm twice as old as Charlie. I'm 63 and more than twice.
All right, he's about to start talking about the day of September 10th. We're almost there. I'm sorry, guys. Hang in there.
As old. He's 31, so we're in different generations. But he already knew the Mike Pence rule. He knew, and he practiced that as well. And this, I don't want to inflate the numbers either. He was already doing the Modesto Manifesto because he was wise.
All right.
And so Blake has been a mentor to Charlie as well and would help him deal with some of the hardest issues and the hardest questions. Now, on our way to that university, we had a stop to make because Charlie's cousin wanted Charlie to speak to an entrepreneur group that he was a part of. They were all folks that had restaurants.
And that's the video I did the other day.
And he went in there and gave a speech, and it was like he owned a restaurant himself. He just knew what to say. He knew how to be an entrepreneur. Anyway, I was kind of walking out, and before the event was over, and a young person was walking out. She goes, I need to leave. I don't like Charlie Kirk. And so I said to her, well, why don't you like Charlie Kirk? Because Charlie Kirk doesn't like me. He doesn't like a queer woman like me. I said, no, Charlie loves everyone. And she just kept walking. And here is one of the biggest myths that I think many on the left believe that, ladies and gentlemen, we have to try and dispel. And it's this: love does not.
All right.
You know, in the passage that everybody reads at their wedding, but nobody obeys, 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says, love does not rejoice, enabling their continued rebellion against the God of the universe. You tell them the truth. Anyway, on our way in, we had drone footage of the crowd building.
Remember, though, Brian Harple and TPUSA denied that there were drones there that day, that there could be any drones, that any were allowed. But once Wolves in Finance got the cease and desist, the lawyer for TPUSA admitted that there were drones, but that was a media drone.
And Charlie had it on his phone.
And this is 6 days after, and Frank was the first person to put this out there. And I believe there was drones that day, and there very well could have been drones for the safety team, security team, but they didn't do it.
Charlie, I don't like this place. There are too many buildings. Charlie just kind of brushed it off because, look, we have a security team, and he wasn't going to cancel an event. And as far as we knew, the university police were there, and they would scout out the place and put people in appropriate positions. I don't know.
No, that's the security team's job, Frank. Nice try. That's kind of what Brian Harple did on the Sean Ryan show and tried to blame everything on the local police or the university police. And Dan Flood texted the chief, and the chief, he designated the zone up there a temporary trespass zone, and they allowed for one of his security guys to be up there. And what do you know, looking straight ahead, that security guard would have seen a dead line of sight to the Losi roof.
Any of the details on this now, but that was the thought anyway. So we get there, we pray, we get out of the car. There's a whole bunch of TPUSA leaders there that want to pose for pictures. Charlie graciously poses for pictures. He posed for a picture with me, and we'll show this picture here. This is me, Charlie.
And that's the famous Butch Hibbs, Jack Hibbs' brother. And you can see in his right pocket, there is the outline of what is the same size of what would eventually be on Charlie's lapel, the Rode mic. In my opinion, that's exactly what that looks like. And Barron has done investigation as to a flight that left Butch Hibbs' hometown and flew into Tennessee, where the Accurate Energetic Systems plant was that was making these shape charges. And it was on the 24th that flight went out and came and didn't come back, but most likely he drove back, in my opinion. And that's what Barron speculates as well.
And in the middle is Butch Hibbs. That's the brother of Jack Hibbs, Pastor Jack Hibbs.
Yep.
And he came to the event, wanted to meet us both. So we took a picture. This picture was taken maybe 20 minutes before the assassin struck. So we head right into the base of the amphitheater. Charlie's like, welcome to the big leagues. I mean, there are just people everywhere. We'll show you some footage.
They have such good footage from that day, you guys. 100%. What Barron said yesterday and what Candace has said, we don't have to go through the court system to find out the truth. Erica Kirk, TPUSA, can literally release so much footage that would, if they have nothing to hide, it would prove their innocence. It would prove the state's case. It wouldn't jeopardize the jury. I mean, not against them. It would definitely jeopardize it in favor, against Tyler. But they don't have that. They won't give that footage. They won't even let Candace look at the footage. She said, I won't share it. I'll just report on it. But they won't give it. Wait till you see how clear this footage is. And they had dozens of cameras, every angle, behind, in front, to the side, facing out, facing in. We would have been able to tell, and no doubt they knew. And that's why Terrell Farnsworth jumped up and ripped down that SD card, but left the camera, in my opinion.
Here, they were everywhere. I've never seen a...
Okay, and that's Dan Flood in the black, right, with the glasses. He's the one, in my opinion, that steps forward and does the arm signal. Frank Turek is the one you'll see, the one obviously we're listening to, but he's the one that has a white hat, and he'll try to give some BS explanation as to that it wasn't a hand signal. He doesn't just itch his nose. So he grabs his bill and then he grabs his cheek like this. And then we have Brian Harple right there with the bag, slacked over his shoulder. And then right before this happened, you just saw Mikey McCoy with the hat and the white shirt and the backpack on. They're all there. What you don't see is Andrew Colvett. And remember, the girl that did that video that was just fired, right, for the Uber ride thing, she said Andrew Colvett was Charlie's right-hand man, always in his ear, and went to every event. He should have been here that day.
Crowd so enthusiastic to see Charlie. So Charlie starts flipping these hats. He's got the Make America Great Again hats, the 47 hats. And so I'm just kind of standing there, and someone on staff just hands me.
Who do we have right there? Look at Terrell Farnsworth right there. And then here's the 1776 guy. You could only see his arm and his shirt. These two, Terrell Farnsworth is the one that ends up grabbing the SD card out of that camera, right? Here's Frank Turek, the one speaking. Here's Dan Flood. And then over here is the guy wearing the 1776 hat. They were the ones manning the AV equipment, which seemed to be timed with the signals and with whatever Brian Harple twists and turns on in his pocket, in my opinion, because they start getting a feedback issue. They talk to Brian Harple and Dan Flood start talking. Then they get Charlie's attention, and Terrell Farnsworth goes over and tells Charlie to move the mic over. They adjust it. There was so much coordination. He's gonna say later, why would there be hand signals? Well, yeah, there wouldn't be any hand signals if there was somebody on the roof just taking a lone shot. But that's not what happened. But if it's a coordinated event and there were so many moving parts and pieces, there would definitely need to be signals for timing.
A row of hats. So I go, I guess I get to flip them too. So I'm flipping them all over the place. And people are just...
Do you guys see Hunter Kozak right there? What a odd duck. Everyone else there looks... Even the people that don't look like they're fans, he's still smiling. They're all still smiling. Freaking Hunter Kozak looking like it's his, funeral. We all seen the footage of him practicing, right? Like he's sitting there before Charlie, before he's up, and he goes, and then on when the bang goes off, that's exactly what he ends up doing.
Excited. They're chanting USA, USA. I mean, they just love Charlie. So I start FaceTiming my wife. I'm saying, look at this. This is incredible. Then I start FaceTiming my son and my daughter-in-law while Charlie sits down and begins to ask questions. Now, this is where you may have seen an internet conspiracy. The man in the white hat was giving signals to the shooter. Yeah, the man in the white hat was me. Yep. Okay. I did this with my hat. Maybe I touched my nose or something.
No, it's not maybe. We know exactly what you did. I'm not going to belabor the time tonight, and we want to get to everything you say. You adjust your hat, but don't adjust it. You just grab your bill and do this, and then you grab your cheek and do that. No, not maybe. How do you not know what you did? You don't know what you did? It was 6 days ago, Frank.
Something. While I'm holding my phone because I'm FaceTiming my son and daughter-in-law. And they're huge Charlie fans. So I'm maybe 30.
Remember, he wasn't actually FaceTiming anyone. Other people like Blake Bednards and West Texas is the best Texas, and other people on X have broken down the footage that is reflecting off your phone, and there's some sort of camera feed that you're watching, because we can see Dan Flood's arm when he does the signal, and he puts his arm out, steps forward, touches his arm, and shakes his hand. And how does that show up on your side when it's on the other side? It just
3 feet from Charlie. I'm right off his right elbow. I'm standing probably just off camera if the camera's going forward on him. Maybe about his 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and I'm just filming away. And by the way, to show you how stupid this is, they thought Dan, his main security guy, was giving signals too.
No, it's not stupid. Who does what he did? He took a step forward, he looked left, he looked right, and then he pats his arm and shakes his hand. There's so many things that all happen in just succinct order within just split seconds of each other right before the bang goes off. You just want us to doubt our eyes and not use our brain? And that's the same signal that people found when Charlie was on campus. I think it was the Texas A&M campus months before, and Charlie's asking a question, and it comes up about signals. Dan Flood looks at another guy on his team, smiles, and goes like, oh, signal, and does the exact same thing. Oh, yeah, but you just have us. Oh, that's just a coincidence, too.
Signals for what? You don't need signals. There's a sniper up there. He doesn't need anyone to signal.
And here's the straw man. Dude, you don't even know the argument, or you do know the argument, but you're just doing this because you think you can then defeat the argument that we're not actually putting forth. We're not putting forth that we think Tyler Robinson did anything on the roof with a 30-06. It's clearly that's not what happened. So we're not saying that that's what the signals did. Yeah, we get it, Frank. Signals wouldn't be, letting a kid know when to pull the trigger. Oh, but if it was a coordinated event with multiple moving parts and multiple people involved, maybe the mic, maybe the other microphone, the 2 microphones, one being exploded and one being electrocuted. Yeah, it would all need to be timed. It would have to be timed with Terrell Farnsworth and the kid, the 1776 kid, all of you, and Brian Harple turning things on, turning things off, getting mints. What? Yeah, specific timing would have to take place. And there would have to be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, still, go, go. And that's exactly what it looks like happened, in my opinion.
Anything? He can look through his scope and see what's going on. What do you think? He's looking through his scope and going, what's the signal? What am I? It's crazy that people actually believe this.
No one believes that.
But, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? Don't believe in these crazy conspiracy theories. You need evidence. It's ridiculous.
What evidence do you guys have? What evidence do you guys have that Tyler did anything? The same evidence we all have? Nothing.
I didn't even know about it for probably 36 hours after the murder, or 30 hours after the murder. We were in a bubble. We were just paying attention to the family. We were just paying attention to the friends, didn't go on the internet much. When I finally meet my wife back in Phoenix, she goes, there are millions of people who think you were in conspiracy to kill Charlie. I'm like, what? That's crazy. So thanks to my friends, Elisa Childers and Sept Dillon.
Oh, Seth
and
Dillon.
Others.
Oh, Seth Dillon, the guy that was at the Hamptons retreat, the guy that just got on and said Candace is an anti-Semite, said that what Andrew Colvett told Candace happened at the Hamptons didn't happen. Oh, that guy. Oh, that's who your character reference is. Okay.
They tried to clear the air on that. You still have people saying, oh, yeah, we need to check into this guy and this other guy, too, the security guy.
Yeah, we
Ridiculous. So the first question, Charlie's presenting evidence for the gospel to a Mormon. That's one of the things that one of the questions that we had prepared for just before the event.
Yeah, because you're in Utah.
And then he began to answer a question on trans violence. Someone was saying,
and this is key for the left versus right narrative. This is key to the Fed slop narrative and Tyler Robinson being on the roof. This is key. Like Hunter Kozak clearly had some foreknowledge or had something to do with this in some way.
oh, should we take guns away from trans people? Well, in light of what happened, the answer is yes.
Oh.
Because right about then, I hear this pop. It sounded like it was close.
Wait, it sounded like it was close? That's interesting. A lot of people said that the sound sounded like it was coming through the speakers, that it didn't sound like it came from 140 yards away from the Losi Center. Oh, but you were told later where it came from. So don't trust your ears and your eyes. Trust whoever's feeding the narrative. Okay, Frank.
We later learned it was from over 100 yards away.
Later learned.
And out of the corner of my eye, I see Charlie go back. And so I start to head toward Charlie, and I see that the security guys are already there. So then I duck thinking, okay.
You didn't go to Charlie. You went straight to the ground, man. We all saw the video. What are you talking about?
Hey, maybe there's other shots coming. And then I'm still on the phone. And my daughter-in-law told me these were the first words out of my mouth. No, 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 no.
So it's weird. He says that, I mean, he set it up. He said his daughter-in-law and his son were on the phone. And then he said here, just his daughter-in-law. And then later he's going to say just his son. I don't know. Were they both on the phone? Were one of them on the phone? Can he not make up his mind? I just question everything he's saying. And so it's just, I would think his son would be saying something. His son would be shouting through the phone, like, what's going on, Dad? What's going on? But right here, he's saying it's just his daughter-in-law.
So I went behind. There's like
there he goes again. He starts to cry, but there's no crying. It doesn't come.
No backdrop. Charlie's sitting here. There's a backdrop. I'm over here. So I go behind because I know the security guys are taking him out the other side. So I'm running with them toward the car. And the phone is still on. And ladies and gentlemen, I was afraid that at some point this was going to happen. I thought that somebody would take a shot at Charlie. And I think maybe Charlie did at some point think so too, but he thought that the security was good.
Yeah.
And his security team was good.
What? His security team was good, Frank? Okay. They lost the person they were supposed to be protecting. They didn't have anyone on the roof. They didn't have drones there that day. They didn't keep him alive. They didn't render first aid, CPR. I mean, you're going to go on to say that. It was you that told them that, hey, we should start doing CPR. But they're freaking combat medics. And they weren't doing CPR, Frank? Oh, but they're so good. Yeah, I think Charlie believed the people around him were good at what they did. And I think he was sadly mistaken.
But somebody way up there, whoever should have had that blew it. I don't know who that was. But I thought about what would I do? What would I do if that happened and I was there? Now, here's what Erica wants me to relate on Sunday.
That's key. So we know that Erica has been coordinating things that Andrew Colvett has been saying from the beginning. We know that she's the one that said that whole statement about the surgeon. It wasn't Andrew, but he's the one that sent it out. But it wasn't even the surgeon that said it. It was Erica. And Erica here is going to tell Frank what to say at the memorial. Why? Why is the widow coordinating and telling everyone what to say and what to do? That's weird. Well, if she's sheep dipped and she's, I don't know, part of something bigger, yeah, that might make sense.
This is going to be the hard part, but maybe also the comforting part.
What?
Charlie Kirk was literally like a son to me. I have 3 sons. He was like my 4th son.
Really?
My 3 sons are a little bit older than Charlie. He was like my 4th son. So when he was hit,
yeah,
if your son got hit, what would you do?
I would freaking run over to him. The security would have to freaking fight me off of him. Dude, if anything happened to my wife or my kids, whether or not they have security or not, I'm not jumping on the ground, hiding and protecting myself. That's what you did. Mikey McCoy freaking ran away. Blake Neff took off running. None of you that all claim to have been courageous that day and done amazing things to save his life. And look at you. You're not even, you're acting like you're about to cry, but you're not crying at all. What, number 5, your fake tears. You say that you did this as if he was your son. You did nothing. What are you talking about, Frank? You fell on the ground and you ran away. They would have had to pull me off of him. I would have been trying to save him, protect him. That's what I would have done.
What'd you do? I got in the car. Because if there was any way I could save him, I had to do something. I couldn't just take him. You guys got it. So they got him into the side of the car. It was an SUV. It was the SUV we took over. And
you didn't take over. That was the SUV. Brian Harple freaking told Sean Ryan that. You guys had a plan. You have an exit plan. You have a contingency for contingency. That was the freaking car that you guys were leaving in. You didn't take anything over. That was your vehicle.
I'm on one side, and there's actually some video of this. Somebody's taking video of this. I'm on one side of the car, the right side, and they're getting Charlie in. So I run over to the other side, but the guy who was dragging him in is now blocking that entrance. So at that point, I run around to the back. I pop the back gate open, and I jump in the back. The car lurches forward. Apparently, somebody jumped in the car. So the car lurches forward, so I almost fall out of the car, the SUV. Then I grab the thing and close it, and there's 5 of us in the car now. Justin is driving. Dan is up front with the GPS. Rick has got him. Rick's on my left, and Brian is there, and I'm coming over the back seat, and Charlie's laid out in front, just right in front of me.
Right. So he's in the trunk. It's a big SUV, right? That back seat is a bucket seat. He can't climb through. It's not a captain's chair. And he says it. He's like over that bucket seat looking down, and Charlie's there. There's 2 big guys, and then there's 2 more guys up in front. He's not near. He can't do what he says he's about to do.
And Charlie's so tall, we can't close the door. We drove 4 miles, I don't know, it's 4 something miles, all the way to the hospital with the door open. To this day, I don't know how Brian stayed in the car, because we're just go. We're trying to stop the bleeding. You saw it.
No one was stopping the bleeding. No one was trying. That one guy with the darker, longer hair, not Dan Flood, not Brian Harple, had a little bit of blood on his hand, a little bit of blood on his pants. Everyone else had no blood on them at all. No one, when they were supposedly rendering first aid when he was on the ground, their hands were perfectly clean. No one was stopping the bleeding. What are you talking about, Frank?
And I'm yelling, come on, Charlie, come on. Meanwhile, my phone is still on. My son and daughter-in-law are hearing this whole thing. And his security team, again, Justin, Dan, Brian, and Rick, they love Charlie. But they were much cooler than I mean, they're just carrying it.
Rick Cutler was brand new. He was part of the team that just got added to the event.
Now, they're calmly, but they're swiftly doing exactly what they were trained to do. Rick starts praying out loud. I'm praying out loud. We're yelling, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. My son's hearing all this.
So now it's his son that hears
And
it.
we're doing the best we can to navigate traffic. This is not a highway. We're on surface streets. And suddenly there's an ambulance coming toward us. And there was conversation in the car. Should we stop? We're like, no, just keep going. Just keep going. The doctor later said that was the right thing to do. Ambulance goes by us. We're still heading to the hospital, trying to get there. At one point, somebody says, let's get there in one piece because we're cutting through intersections. You know, we're just beeping the horn. This is not an emergency vehicle. There's no lights. There's none of this. And I go, we got to start CPR. So I try and start that. Now,
So the combat medics in the back seat that are actually with Charlie, they're not rendering CPR. I guess this is Frank's, what he's saying, but Frank is in the trunk and Frank looks at them and says, we need to start CPR. So no one had started CPR yet. I thought they were the best. I thought they were doing everything they could to save him, Frank. Crocodile tears. There's no tears.
Charlie wasn't there. His eyes were fixed.
Well, that's interesting because you're going to tell us later something different when he got to the hospital. You're not a doctor. You're not a medical professional. How, and why would you even determine whether or not someone's alive or passed on by their eyes? Yeah, I know the eyes can show some things, but how about checking the pulse? How about the heartbeat? How about figuring that out?
He wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me right into eternity. He was with Jesus already. He was killed instantly.
Really? How could you know that? How could you know that at all? And that's another thing Erica has said.
And felt absolutely no pain. That's what I was told later.
By who?
But of course, we had to try. And by the way, there was just nothing any of us could do about it.
Well, I mean, you guys weren't doing anything. You said they weren't doing anything. You told them to start doing CPR. What are you talking about?
Giving him CPR, but nothing was happening. It wasn't like if we had better first aid or we had better medical facilities.
Oh, you mean like the first aid you turned down at the scene? The medics that were there when he was on the ground and his security team said, nope, don't come over here. Or when you guys were getting him in the car and the medics tried to give you his med bag and you said, nope, we don't need that. Oh, the better care that you guys all turned down.
We were faster to the hospital. We could have saved him. We couldn't. So if that's any comfort at all, Charlie didn't suffer.
How do you know that?
He was
dude?
gone. He was with Jesus, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That's where he was.
All right, calm down, bud.
Now, it is true. When we got to the hospital and they started working on him right away, they did get a pulse back.
Wait, what? I thought he was dead. I thought you guys couldn't do anything. I thought your attempts at CPR were useless. Oh, but he gets there and they start working on him and they get a pulse. Okay.
And so Rick and I were just, everyone's praying. We're just praying for a miracle. We had a small sliver of hope. And the doctor later said that we got a pulse because Charlie was a very healthy man.
Well, first of all, the surgeon's not going to tell you anything. You're not next of kin. You're not family. I think when you say you were told or you found out later, I just have this feeling it was Erica. You know, like Erica, the whole Superman neck, the bones were just so impressive. If it were anyone else, the bullet would have gone through and through. It's a modern day miracle. Charlie's neck saved everyone behind him. That was Erica. That wasn't Andrew Colvett. That wasn't the surgeon. The surgeon said that he didn't say any of that. And the surgeon wouldn't have told you anything, and he wouldn't have told Mikey McCoy anything. He wouldn't have. He's going to break his oath. He's going to lose his license. So who told you? Who told you this? It would have had to been Erica.
But the shot was catastrophic. So 20 or 30 minutes later, the surgeon came out and said he was dead. Now,
He could pronounce that.
first of all, the hospital staff and the law enforcement were amazing. But let me tell you who the heroes were in this whole thing.
Oh, here we go.
We're going to start with 23-year-old Mikey McCoy, who is Charlie's chief of staff and the son of Pastor Rob McCoy and his wife, Michelle. Charlie considered Rob his pastor.
No, he said it once. He never said it more than that. Barron has shown that, and same with Candace.
And Charlie hired Mikey, I don't know, almost right out of high school.
Yep. Yeah, he was
and Mikey, demonstrating the wisdom and coolness well beyond his years, just like Charlie did.
What?
Immediately contacted Erica.
Wait, what? Wait, he immediately contacted Erica? No. We know that's not true. He called his wife and was on the phone for 3 minutes, Frank. Why are you telling us all of these lies? This is 6 days after the event. All of your stories should be the same, unless you're all not good at lying and you guys are all trying to figure out a way to just control this narrative that's getting away from you. He was on the phone with Elizabeth McCoy for 3 minutes. Then he three-ways Erica. Then he gets off the phone and he calls his dad. Then he calls, well, you tell us in a minute, he calls the president and JD Vance, which is weird in and of itself.
And sent a plane to get her and some other friends and co-workers.
Yeah, like Stacey Sheridan.
He called the president, the vice president of the United States. He quizzed the doctors, asked them hard questions.
No, he didn't. The doctors aren't going to tell him snot unless he is on three-way with Erica, and Erica's the one asking the questions. Okay? But there's no way the doctor is telling Mikey McCoy anything. There's just no way, man.
He dealt with the police, the FBI. We're all being interviewed by the FBI. He scheduled the funeral home. And a couple hours later, transportation, hotels.
Almost like it was all kind of set up already. Like he just had all these things ready ahead of time. Maybe, I don't know, in a book, in a list, and he just started checking things off. It's like he knew who to call. He knew what to do.
Air Force Two.
Oh, Charlie made him practice. That's what it was, guys. Charlie had him practice.
Mikey McCoy is an absolute hero. And keep in mind,
I guess I just have a different definition of hero. Let's see. Let me see if I can think this straight. Okay, so I'm on the phone. My boss is right there, who's also my friend. I got a phone and an ear, and then bang happens. I don't even look. I don't even look to see what happened. I just turn and walk the other way. Calm, cool, collected. Like not afraid that another shot or anything else was coming next. He didn't get on the ground. He didn't run. He just turned and walked away. Him and Blake Neff. Yeah, but they didn't do it together, even though Blake Neff said they were next to each other. We got the footage. We've looked at it. They're not next to each other. So that's your definition of hero, Frank. Why are you putting out all these things 6 days after the event so that we can all just swallow this? It leads me to believe it's because it's a BS narrative that you are trying to get us to accept and believe. It didn't work the way you guys all thought it did. You thought you were going to be able to do this.
He's doing all this after his best friend and boss was just martyred before his eyes.
Not before his eyes. He didn't look, Frank. He didn't look at all. He had his things like this, and then it happened, and he just walked away. He didn't look. I think he knew. He intentionally didn't look, in my opinion.
The kind of people that Charlie hired. TPUSA. Look, I was in the Navy for 8 years. I know good quality people when I see.
Hey, I'm going to apologize to you guys for the beginning of this video. I'll just tell you this much. We're going to keep going. This is where it started to get good. I mean, like, I'm working all day. I'm like doing a million things. No excuses, horrible excuses. You guys deserve so much better. I had these, look, I'll show you guys. I had these timestamps. I had it all written out. Certain things were important in my mind. Having watched it a third time, we could have skipped the first half of all this. We could have just gone right to the day of. So, I mean, after the live, I'm not going to take it down. I'm going to let it stay up so that I get credit for all the people that have been here and the interactions. But I'm going to edit the video, change a thumbnail, and later put it up as a video so that it just gets right to the meat. It'll have my introduction and everything, and then I'm just going to cut that whole middle part off where we lost about 50 viewers because I made a bad choice, and I apologize for that. But thank you guys for hanging in there who are there. And it's going to get really good because he's going to say all these things that they do the day of and after. And boy, does it not match up. It's insane. And I can't believe Candace didn't pull some of this stuff when the whole Andrew flying out with his wife and Erica being like, oh, no, his wife wasn't there. Yeah. Well, what did Frank say? Okay, we'll find out right now.
See them. They have people who I would put up against anyone. They're tremendous servants, tremendously capable people.
For servants for Philadelphia. Oh my God. Not for Charlie though. Yeah. I mean, like if your standard is all these people did amazing things that day, but it's the day that Charlie was assassinated, and that's your standard of like, these people are great. Frank, I mean, you just have no credibility, dude. Like at all.
Just name a few of them who were involved in all this.
I love that. If you take some of this stuff a different way, just add his words, people that were involved in all of this. Yeah. Involved in all of it.
Catherine LaCastro came up.
And I don't know who that is. I wrote it down. I'm going to look into Catherine LaCasto.
With Erica.
She came up with Erica.
Amazing woman. Young. I don't know, in her 20s somewhere.
Who
but
is
she
that
was
lady?
helping Mikey organize everything. Andrew Colvett. Many of you know Andrew. He is the producer of the Charlie Kirk show. He wasn't there, but he got there quickly.
He wasn't there, and he should have been, because he was there at all these campus events. He wasn't there. He got there quickly. Wait, Frank, who came with him?
With his wife. Amazing.
Wait, Frank, he came with his wife? I thought Erica said she didn't know. She didn't remember. No, she don't think he did. She waited on the tarmac for an hour for Andrew. Andrew came running out and broke down in his arms. What, you're saying his wife didn't get off the plane? Erica didn't see his wife right behind him? You did. You knew. So Erica might be not telling the truth. Yeah, okay, that tracks.
Man, and you can see what he's doing on the Charlie Kirk show right now. Danny Phillip, a newly hired researcher. Let me just show you what kind of attention to detail these people have. Let me just say that when the three of us in the back of the SUV got to the hospital, we had to change our clothes.
My question is this, guys. Why would they actually have to change their clothes if there wasn't really a lot of blood on them at all? Because we saw the photos. We saw the still and the video footage of them putting him in the car. Only one guy had a little bit of blood on his hand and a little bit of blood on his pants. And he doesn't say it's for evidence. I think they all knew, in my opinion, that there was evidence. Not that they were trying to, oh my God, I hate it when this happens. That they were trying to keep for the police when they got there. I think that they, in my opinion, were trying to get rid of evidence that could prove as to the true mode of death of Charlie that day. Like the cyclonite or the plastic. Yeah, that's what I think why they took it off. Because I didn't see any blood on them at all from that day.
And so they all gave us scrubs.
So what'd you do with your clothes? The cops weren't there yet. What'd you guys all do with your clothes? Where did those go?
Oh, when we all get to a hotel later that night in Salt Lake City, Mikey looks at me and he says, I'm going to go get you some new clothes. Like, why?
Yeah, because he is the social media guy and he knows what's happening the next day. He spoke with JD Vance and Donald Trump, and Air Force Two is coming out. They're going to do the casket scene. They're going to do all those media things that he's in charge of. He's part of it. Him and Stacey Sheridan. He's the one that's going to get it out. He's a social media guy. He's not going to have you in scrubs, Frank. It's not him being caring and compassionate to you. He needs you to look the part, man. You're going to be there for this next part of the media propaganda piece.
Mikey, I can wear these scrubs. No, you want new clothes for tomorrow. Air Force Two's coming.
Oh, what do you know?
You don't have to wear scrubs. I'll go. So he delegated to Danny to go buy me clothes. Can you imagine this level of detail?
Yeah.
Your boss.
He's doing his job. The fact that he's even thinking about doing his job over everything else that's happening is insane to me. It shows me how like focused these people are still on the image of what they want to portray and how we're going to accept this and how we're going to, perceive this. To me, that seems like it's manufactured and it's being managed. It's not like, oh, he's just being so Christian and compassionate to you, Frank.
Has just died. Their friend has just died, martyred. And they're worried about whether I'm in scrubs or not. In fact, this is kind of funny. We're down in the...
Okay, so this is really not funny at all, which is really weird. The day of, and I'm going to let him tell you, but the day of, he's remembering something the day of the assassination. This just happened. They're back at the hotel. And he thinks what he's about to say is funny. And then he's retelling the story 6 days later. It's not like this is a year later and he's looking back. This is 6 days later. He's laughing about something that happened just hours after Charlie was assassinated. And he says, it's kind of funny. What are you talking about, Frank?
Hotel lobby. Again, this is the same day as the murder.
Yep.
And by that time, Mr. and Mrs. Kirk, Charlie's parents and sister, had gotten there, and Mr. Kirk wasn't feeling well.
No.
And somebody looks at me and says, "Are you a doctor?" And I looked at him, I go, "No." And I'm thinking, why would anybody ask me if I'm a doctor? I'm wearing scrubs. I didn't even realize it. I'm not the kind of doctor that can help you anyway.
Yeah, not at all, Frank. And this is 6 days after when you're telling the story, about hours after the assassination, when his parents arrive and his sister arrives, and you think something that someone asked you about your scrubs, and the reason why you're wearing scrubs, supposedly by your admission, whatever, is that you had Charlie's blood all over your clothes. That's why you're wearing the scrubs, Frank. And someone asking you about that is funny.
But anyway, Danny Phillip was a great help and still is a great help at TPUSA. Tyler Boyer, many guys know Tyler. He runs TPUSA Action.
No, he runs Turning Point Action. It's not TPUSA Action, but go ahead.
And with Charlie's help, Tyler, I think, secured the White House.
Oh, I mentioned this earlier. Oh, with Charlie's help, Tyler secured the White House for Trump. I don't know, man. I think I would have phrased it the other way around. I think with Tyler's help, Charlie secured the White House. Charlie did it. Charlie did the whole thing.
For President Trump, because they know how to chase votes. Robin Poe was a friend and a consultant. He was there. Jeff Neiman, the attorney, was there. These are just wonderful people who came and dropped whatever they were doing. Robin from Dallas, Jeff from Miami. He actually was in San Antonio and came up. Brian, his cousin, who actually orchestrated the whole trip. These were all just amazing people. And the security guys, Dan, Justin, Brian, Rick, Blake, and another Blake, every one of them would take that bullet for Charlie.
But they didn't. And they ensured, well, and it wasn't a bullet. So let's just freaking get that off the table. Okay. And they didn't even do the most basic, typical procedures when setting up for this event. On the Sean Ryan show, Sean asked him, when did you start planning for this event? Brian goes, August 24th. Sean goes, wait, what? You started 2 weeks before the event? And then Brian backtracks and goes, oh, no. Oh, no. The planning, the intel gathering and all that started weeks and weeks before. Why didn't you say that? It's like you realize that Sean realized that sounds insanely suspicious. And then you're like, oh, no, never mind. No. We started weeks and weeks before. Yeah. Okay. So this security team, the security team that didn't get fired, Dan Flood gets a raise and a promotion after he was Charlie's personal security. And these are these amazing security guards you talk about. All right, Frank. Sure.
They just didn't have an opportunity to.
No, they had an
And
opportunity.
then when Erica got there, she spent a lot of time talking to she probably got there, I don't know, somewhere around 4 p.m. maybe. And she spent a lot of time, as you could imagine, talking to the surgeon and talking to the hospital staff and seeing Charlie. And the rest of us were just waiting to see if we could be of any assistance at all. Meanwhile, the car that we came in had been considered a crime scene for whatever reason. I don't know what.
Wait, what? The vehicle you guys came in was considered a crime scene for what? Just a couple hours, and then it was given back to you guys? Oh, and then they cleaned it and sold it? Oh, that's interesting. I mean, if it were turned over to like the crime scene investigative team or the investigative body in the state of Idaho or the FBI, wouldn't they have needed hours, maybe days to collect evidence? They would have taken it back to where they would have processed the evidence. Oh, let's see what you have to say, Frank.
Why we had nothing to do with the crime, but we couldn't get anything out of it. So I couldn't get my wallet out, couldn't get my bag out, couldn't get my computer out. Charlie was actually laying over my computer bag on the way to the hospital. And so we really couldn't do anything or go anywhere. We were just there to support. Meanwhile, the hospital staff brought us food. Anyway, when Erica did.
Could you guys been able to eat? I don't think I would have been able to eat anything. That's just me.
Come down into the hall where I was. She came up and she said he loved you and he was doing what he wanted to do. And then we just held one another and she expressed that she wanted to keep Charlie's legacy going.
From day one, inserted herself. I'm going to take over. I'm going to keep it going. And your fake acting tears don't fool anyone, man. They're so bad.
And man, did you see her on Friday night? That was one of the most amazing, if not the most amazing speech I've ever.
It was so cringe, Frank. What are you talking about? Everyone was like, what are we looking at? This is crazy.
Seen. That woman is not going to be denied. If this assassin thought that he was going to end Charlie.
I believe she's not going to be denied. She's not going to be denied taking over the company and everything she's been doing. Yeah, it looks like she's not taking no for an answer.
Charlie's legacy, he just poured gasoline on it. And Erica is going to lead the charge. Finally, well, not finally, but.
Yeah, not finally, Frank.
When we were about to leave, we finally got access to the car again.
Wait, what? They gave it back to you?
And Erica was asking.
So like in a couple hours, whoever confiscated it and was doing whatever they were doing, I don't know, maybe cleaning it out, maybe getting rid of everything that's inside, in my opinion. They just give it back to you. Okay, that's not weird. And then no one sees the car after that. Then it gets cleaned and it gets sold. Okay, that's not odd.
For a necklace that Charlie was wearing. It's a cross necklace and had some medallions on it. And when I went into the back seat of that car, I pulled my bag out and that necklace was attached somehow, just kind of draped over the bag.
I was thinking about this, guys. We all saw the footage, okay? We all saw that his necklace snapped and flew up over his head and back and on the ground. In the video, just when Dan Flood and Brian Harble get Charlie to the ground, we see they're surrounding him and Brian Harple points. Well, I don't know. It kind of looks like it's an AI image that was messed with, or like they removed a part of it because like it like jumps. I mean, I'm not a technological guy, but maybe that's the frame rate in which the pictures were being snapped in the whatever camera or phone it was taken. But you do see like a handoff of something. I think that how could have the necklace got in the car? It was off of Charlie. I can't show it on here. You guys can go to YouTube and go to X and look. His necklace snapped. It flew off of him. It's not on him. So somebody would have had to grab it and pick it up and hand it off or put it in their pocket and then put it in the car. I don't know how important this necklace is to what I think happened. I mean, I think it was the mic, the one on his lapel and the one in his hand. Some people do believe that the necklace had something to do with it. I mean, we'll see. But I don't think it was on him, and there's no way it could have made it in the car unless someone picked it up and took it and put it in there. There's just no way. Which leads me to believe there was a reason they did that. They weren't going to leave it there.
So I gave it to Mikey and I said, Mikey, I want you to give this to Erica. It was a comfort to her. And Pastor Rob that night, Pastor Rob McCoy, and I've never seen somebody so good at.
I was going to say, when I was watching this earlier today, he's never seen so many people do so good at doing so little. In my opinion, I mean, no one did anything miraculous that day. All he can give everyone is this glowing review that everyone just performed so miraculously, heroically, courageously, magnificently. Oh my goodness.
Comforting someone who had just lost their husband, the father of their children, her best friend.
I don't know about that.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah,
and Erica, man, is she strong. In fact, I just got this from just last night from one of the staff members I just mentioned. He said, see you soon, Frank. We're all staying strong for Erica and helping her in any way she needs. The team is strong and on a mission to continue. That was his first text. Why? Because Charlie would want it.
I mean, I do believe Charlie would probably want, his company to continue, but at what cost and to whom would take over? Maybe I don't think he would want it to continue in the way that it has, given that he was so publicly fighting against this direction. And it is weird that a staff member is messaging you about how miraculous and wonderful and courageous Erica is literally the day after. It's impossible. It doesn't make sense. So it just wouldn't be happening unless.
And by the way, we're doing whatever we can to continue what we're doing this Wednesday night. That would be tomorrow, or maybe you're listening to this on Wednesday. We're going to Western Carolina University and doing If God, Why Evil, a Q&A in honor of Charlie Kirk. That event was already scheduled. It was supposed to be If God, Why Evil? We just didn't know we'd have another instance of terrible evil.
Yeah, I think you did know that. But anyway, all right. Way longer than it should have been. My apologies. I will edit the video in post and take out the huge chunk in the middle. And I will not do that to you guys again. I was reading some of the messages and I apologize, you guys. All right, let me get down to the bottom of the chat. I will read some chats. Promo time. TPUSA money. No. Your favorite. It is perfection. Okay, I know people don't want to realize that Charlie was really and what? Okay, on X. This man's eyes are so blue. Who, mine? My eyes? Yeah, my eyes are blue. Thank you. What did he do? What did who do? I'm going to have to go take a shower. I feel so icky now. Okay, Earl's daughter. Me too. I need to eat dinner and take a shower. I've done neither. We're only 3 likes away from 100. Hook it up. Mystic Gypsy, you're amazing. Who else we got? Steel on Steel. What up? Well, even Pontius Pilate had to wash his hands. Yes. Yeah. Laugh out loud. Okay. Charlie was a very naive person. How many people have said that he is naive? In fact, he never had blank with Erica until he met Erica, or he never had blank until he met Erica. I mean, I do believe that. I don't believe it was Erica's first. I mean, she just lived with that guy in freaking Puerto Rico and Michigan and in China. Yeah, I think he was naive in a lot of ways. What did you do that you have to edit out? Oh, well, I mean, my wife is watching and there's a huge part where we're just listening to him and it's not really, he's so boring, Frank, and it wasn't vital to really the point. I mean, he had like little pieces out of that. I should have just gone straight to those pieces, but that's all I was saying. Yeah, he is dry. Jim Bear, what up? Thanks, man. Jim Bear, you can go home. Okay. Why was funeral so private? Yeah, but the casket scene was so public. I mean, that's just we have so many whys, you guys. Why? We'll never get answers because she just wants one thing. Can I just have one thing? Can we all just have one thing? Oh, we just want one thing. That's why. Dude, I'm trying to get you out there. Oh, thank you, Crystal. Well, maybe wait for me to edit the boring part today. I mean, we did have we lost like 50 people in the middle. I saw that. And then I saw my wife's message and she's like, dude, you're losing it. You're losing everybody. It's dry. I'm like, I know, man, my bad. Trying to do the most here. It was great, but I wouldn't mind less bad Frank acting. 100%. I mean, that's the part I'm going to edit out. 100%. I mean, did you guys see how many times he gets choked up and then like just goes on? Like he doesn't cry, he doesn't wipe a tear, he doesn't no congestion from getting all sniffly, just all acting. That made my stomach want to vomit. After all the lies and more lies, EK wanted to be the boss. Yeah, she sure did. Because parents aren't playing. CK's parents aren't playing. I mean, we don't know. I can't wait to hear from them and his sister. I mean, God, there's so much we want to know. Did you guys hear that there's a possibility that, I mean, Barron talked about it, that maybe Erica's not Lori Franceville's daughter, that she's Lori Franceville's granddaughter. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. Oh my God, we're getting spammed with the Philadelphia flags. Sorry, YouTube, don't do anything. Philadelphia and hearts. Wait, is that being funny? I don't know. Maybe they're being funny. I must have gotten here after that. Yeah, Penelope. Thank God you did. You missed. Well, okay. The beginning was good. My opening and things I said in the beginning. And then there was like, I don't know, 15, 20. Hopefully it wasn't 30 minutes. I'm going to have to look at it and cut it out later. But like before, if a live doesn't go good and I'm like, oh no, there's parts I need to fix. If you take it down, you lose credit for all of these people and all the interaction and engagement and the likes and the views. And so you love Frank. Stop it. You do not. Stop lying. Nobody loves Frank. What are you talking about? I've seen liberals cry more tears over pronouns. 100%. Yep. Cream cheese, Jim Bear. I agree with Moses and his brother Aaron only. Yeah. Oh, because Frank just went to Egypt, like just after all this went down. Yeah, I know. I reckon Erica was made in a lab and Mortal Kombat. Yeah. That's what I can't say what you wrote, right? If you know Coach Colin and even Baron's starting to do it, Mortal Kombat Ultra. Okay. Candace said his parents are very to themselves. Yes, that they're just very private people. Baron said the same thing. Said she's never met his sister. Who said? Who's B-E she? She. I don't know what that is. I follow Moses and not Jesus. Okay. All right. Hopefully you're not spamming us. That's like the second time you said that. Let's see. You're doing great. Keep it up. Thank you. Owen's tears. People. Hey, slow down there. Ish happens. 07. Owen does not tear people down. Nice try, though. I think you need to read the room, bud. We're Candace Owens diehard fans here, and same with Baron. So you're not gonna be welcomed with that kind of statement, dude. Let's see. Oh, big shout out to Mystic Gypsy, and let's see. Was Emily L in the house today? Maybe she didn't make it. We got to thank them for moderating and doing a great job. Any photos of their weddings? No. Can I mod for you? Crystal, email me. Crystal Mallon 5279, theblacklinebrief@gmail.com. We already got 2, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't see Emily here at all. So just email me. We can talk 100%. All right. Believes she. That's what you meant to say. Okay. I an Old Testament believer. Okay, dude. I can't tell if you're joking or not. You believe in Moses and not Jesus? That's crazy. Are you being sarcastic? Oh, man. Don't worry about Frank. Keep it in. Love your commentary. Thank you, Linder's Landing. I guess we'll see how the video does. And I mean, I'm going to leave the live in as the live because you just lose so much if you take it down, or if you edit it, it pulls it apart. So I can, in my other streaming service, I can just edit it here and then upload a separate video with like a different thumbnail. It'll be much shorter and it'll just be like my opening, cut out all the BS in the middle, and then it'll just be Frank about the day of, because I think that was the most telling stuff. Hey, new to chat. What up? Semi-set. Ha. Welcome. Ha. Another TPOSA Charlie commercial on TV selling his Stop God book. I know, right? Yep. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Deb, Perry, Jordan. How many people we got going on right now? 165 to the end, like that. And we got 1,253 views, and average watch time was 12 minutes, 53 seconds. Not bad, but let's see where the channel is at in its growth. Hopefully people don't hate me from this video and stop subscribing because of Frank being just so unbearable to watch. All right, let me share this with y'all. Okay, we are growing. We are at 3,609. We got trophies in there. New achievement, over 3,000 viewers, subscribers. Let's see if YouTube has gotten back to me about super chats. Nope. Still waiting. Awesome. Well, that'll happen soon. As soon it says in progress, I'm waiting for that to finish. That's already been done. And then once they let us know, then super chats, memberships, and all that good stuff will be approved, which is just good things, just growth, you know. I will make sure. So this is a learning curve for me too, you guys, you know, finding out what people like, what they don't like, what works, what doesn't work. This is all new to me. Literally been doing it for 4 weeks. The kind of growth we've had is like insane. It's not normal. I've spoken to a lot of people and asked around, which is not credit to me. It's credit to you guys in the community that feel that the things I talk about and the way I present it are good. And that is extremely exciting. Because this would have been sad if I started doing everything and everyone was like, no, we don't like you. Like I said, it would have been me talking to the screen all night. Yeah, gonna rewatch the video. Okay. Oh, to see the beginning was good. I mean, like I set up a lot of good stuff and we did some good parts in the beginning. It just was the middle part that I agree was just like, I was like, oh my goodness, this guy. Oh, yeah. All right. You're killing it. Thanks, Jim Bear. All right. Yeehaw. Great show once again. Earl's daughter. I like you. Thank you. Mods in chat. Yep. Be you. Okay. I will. I am. People like Flotion. What's Flotion? Jesse on fire and Coach make me crazy the way they drift off. Stay on point is all. I agree with that, actually. That's a very good point. I do watch them. I wish that they wouldn't add so much like stuff that has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Like the only time I'm really going to like not talk about the content which I'm providing is like at the end when I'm engaging with you guys. But I'm all business from start to the end of my last part of the content. I agree. I wish, you know, they'd be a little bit more tightened up and on track with everything. I agree with that. That is my major critique of both of them. I agree. I'll share. Be right back. Okay. Jesse on fire seems like he's I don't Penelope. I can't read that word. Pepsied up. I could say Pepsied. Soda'd up. Just in a red can. No, I don't think so, man. I don't think he's that. He just has a lot of energy. He does jujitsu. I do jujitsu. I mean, I used to have a lot more energy, but I don't think he is. Don't be silly. We were having fun hating on Frank. Okay, all right. I mean, but it was kind of unbearable, that portion when he was talking about all sorts of nonsensical things that really had nothing to do with the part that I really wanted to get to. And I should have just passed right by that. I've been with Baron for 3 hours, but you look great. Keep going, mate. And it'll all be all right in the end. Thank you, Steven Dixon 4264. I appreciate that. Stay on content. Thanks, Jim Bear. I feel like I know you. All right. You're speaking right to me. All right. Coach has turned into trying to be a comic. Yeah. I know. I agree. All right. Great job. You keep it real. Thank you, Heather B3292. Who looked after the kids when they went on a walk? I mean, I think they have help. I think there was other people there. Candace and Baron both said that she was unaccounted for those 3 days, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. Even Charlie said so himself. He was taking care of the kids. He had to take care of the mom. I'm assuming they have help. Yeah. Oh, the part I did he end up talking about Stacey Sheridan, or did I end it before that part because he was so insufferable? Yeah, Frank starts giving Stacey Sheridan like the most glowing review at the end, and that like they're ministering to Erica and her kids, Stacey and Stacey's daughter. I'm not going to put you through that. I'll find that another time and show you guys when I have it perfectly timestamped where there's no BS and it's just the part that matters, but it's interesting. I think you all are amazing. Thanks, psych nurse Renee. My mom was a nurse. I agree. Mia. Okay, Penelope. It is better that I don't hear these people speak about the event. No one cries. No one. It's like they couldn't wait to take over. Sick. Agreed. Steel on steel. 100%. Your commentary made it great. Thank you. Heart Herb 3292. I unsubbed when he jumped on the bash Candace bandwagon. Who started bashing Candace? Jesse? Jesse did? Well, I know Valhalla did, and a couple other I unsubbed Valhalla when he started doing all the stuff with the Mitch Snow stuff. I was really bummed about that. But who started bashing Candace? Coach or Jesse? I don't remember that. I don't think Coach. It must have been Jesse. Your commentary made it great. Okay. He actually is a stand-up comedian. Who, Coach? Okay. All right. She was in Huachuca. Yes, your commentary with all your videos is awesome. Thank you. Jim Bear is 100% spot on. BLB. Thank you, Mystic Gypsy. As is the rest of the chat. 100. Thank you, Mystic Gypsy. I agree. You guys are hilarious, and I love engaging with you guys. Yes, Erica was way too joyful, and she could not hide the excitement. Yeah, and I think that's what was like so telling to all of us. It was like, wait, where is the actual grieving widow? Who's this lady? It was like an episode of Body Snatchers. Like, whoa. You know, which then leads the question, like, what did Charlie see in Erica? I don't know. Not what we see. He didn't see what we see, which leads me to believe he was pretty naive and gullible when it came to choosing people. Same with Mikey McCoy, Rob McCoy, all of them. It's like, it's so clear and obvious to us, like how just all of them are. And supposedly Charlie was just like, they're the best. I have no doubts. They're all just, we're like this. I don't know, Coach. Oh, yeah. Ian Carroll, what? Ian Carroll and all of them? Wait, Ian Carroll's never bashed on Candace, though. Reminder, even Jesus wept at Lazarus' tomb, and Jesus knew he was going to raise Lazarus. Ponder that. I agree. That's interesting. Paramount Tactical is the worst. Yeah, his name is Gary Melton. He is the worst. He's a propagandist paid by Philadelphia and TPUSA. First-time viewers, subscribe. Thank you, Nancy Slider. You're the best. Right, Steel, Penelope. Yep, right on, Steel. Right on. Oh, because they all got called out by Candace Owens for eyewitness guy. Yeah, Mitch Snow at the military place. Yeah, at Fort Huachuca in Arizona. But I don't think Jesse. Oh, I got to remember. I know Valhalla did, and Gary at Paramount did. I don't think Coach. Oops, sorry guys. I don't think Coach bagged on her though. Jesse might have. I mean, he rides both sides of the fence sometimes, which is bummer. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, man. I mean, he's a purple belt. I'm almost a brown belt though, so I mean, like, it's kind of letting down the community there, Jess. Hey, Matthew, I guess I missed most of your podcast. I'll have to rewind. Okay, but fast forward the boring part. There's like a middle boring part, which I will edit out later. Just giving you a heads up, Cynthia. Don't judge me for that 20 minutes. My commentary was still good, but I can't help other people be not dry. Yeah. Okay, she was spotted at the military place, Fort Huachuca, on the 8th, the night before, with Cabot Phillips at the Candle Inn Suites. Yes, she was. Still has given no alibi. The alibi she tried to give was on the morning of the 9th, which is not when she was suspected of being there. And it was a picture of a 5- and 7-year-old that she tried to put forth as her kids, and her kids are 1 and 3, and still hasn't corrected the record. Yep. Okay. This is truly a great community you're bringing together, BLB. Yeah. I just can't take credit for it. You guys all showed up. So it's like, I mean, we created the community. Like, I started a channel and I started making videos, and then you all showed up. And then you guys were like, this is pretty cool. And I was like, I agree. This is pretty cool. So like we made it together, in my opinion, you know. Let's see. Jesse did something to piss me off. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with everything. I mean, I will unsubscribe certain people based on something. Like I unsubscribed Valhalla for sure when he went hard on Candace and the Mitch Snow thing. I haven't seen anything major. I don't watch all of Jesse's content though. So, I mean, there could be stuff out there that you guys have seen and that's why you unsub Jesse. But from the stuff I've seen, like if I don't like what I'm watching, if it's not like horrible, but I just don't agree with it, I just don't finish it. You got to do something like really like ethically wrong for me to be like, dude, I'm done. And Valhalla did that. I don't watch him anymore. Yeah, kind of a bummer. He was doing good before that. I mean, he does cuss a lot and he's got like, I mean, there's other things I don't agree with about him. So, I mean, it is what it is. Jesse likes Trump. That's all you have to know. Yeah. I mean, I voted for Trump. I liked Trump. I mean, but now look at this year and the end of last year and everything they've done since they've been in. Pam Bondi, Bongino, freaking Kash Patel. It's the biggest bummer that they all promised us transparency, accountability. They're going to freaking justice this whole thing, corrupt people going to jail. And then none of it happened. Yeah, backing away from I don't want to piss her off. Oh, okay. You're awesome. Okay. Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Oh, can everyone make sure to please hit the like and the subscribe? I do like saying, I like what Jesse does say. He goes, my videos aren't free for you to watch, but the only thing it costs is for you to like and subscribe. So just please hit the like and the subscribe. That's like the best way to support this channel and the community, because the community will be around longer if we continue to grow. Our reach will continue to grow. Our moderators will continue to grow, and we will make sure that bad people do not come in and try to wreck this community at all. Mystic, are you blue eyes? No, Mystic Gypsy's not my wife, but she is in the chat. She is, but she's incognito. I don't know that you will find her out. Maybe when I do like a membership and more like membership only content, and we're going to like redo the room as we grow. And like, I'll have more stuff about me, like, you know, like little Easter eggs, like Baron has, and people ask questions about pictures and about things in the background. We'll do fun stuff like that. I want to add all sorts of fun things. I have all these ideas, but like, I don't know when's the right time to start adding them in. I mean, I'm also thinking about doing a live where I just interact with you guys. I tell you more about me, but then I ask questions about what are some things you guys would want to do. Like, I mean, one of the ideas that Candace has is the book club thing. And like, they go over like, I mean, I really like, Whitney Webb, One Nation Under Blackmail. I love really interesting books that talk about all the things that mainstream news and our world doesn't tell us. I want to be informed. I want to know the truth, and I want to help get that out there. And so that's something I'm interested in doing. But yeah, we'll have some more fun stuff as we get along. I love Baron. He has 8 kids. You got to love a guy who's got 8 kids. I agree. I don't have 8. I got kids, but not 8. All right. We can take a poll. Yeah, we can take a poll or Q&A. Yeah. I can do that in the chat, in the live where it's kind of just us meeting and communicating and me talking about some things and then asking you guys your opinion. I know how to do a Q&A and a poll. This is a long live. Oh my God, 2 hours and 24 minutes. How many people do we still got here? Oh my gosh. We still got 160 people. I mean, not a lot of people, I mean, are interacting as much, but a lot of people are still here, which is cool. Just the diehards are the ones that interact consistently in the chat. Holy moly, Penelope. It was the okay at the end that did it. Yeah. Wait, for who? The okay at the end of what? Okay. Ha 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 ha. Mystic. Right, Penelope. I have 10. Oh, Steel on Steel. You have 10 kids, Steel on Steel? Good for you. Good for you. Baron is legit, Mystic Gypsy. I agree. 10. That's what I said. What? Yeah. That's I mean, God bless you. I have 2. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I do want more sometimes, but it's a lot. And you got to be really good at it. All right. Glad to find you tonight after Baron's Live. Looking forward to some new insights here. Thank you, Nancy Slider. I will be bringing it. Are you guys Mormon? No, I'm not. But that's a funny question. I mean, Baron's not Mormon. He's Catholic. Yeah, he's got 8 kids. It doesn't always mean that. Yep. Well, they are all grown now and doing well. Catholic. See? Yeah, I had a feeling she was Catholic. Yep. Okay, God bless you. Bless you. Wow, respect. I agree. You too. My eyes are crossed. I'm struggling to stay open, but I'm still here. Earl's daughter. Okay. I missed Baron's Live. Well, Penelope, you got to go back. Well, you don't really got to watch. I mean, I thought it was ridiculous covering the Bad Bunny and the TPUSA halftime thing. Like, I think both were a major letdown. I agree with Baron. He pointed out the hypocrisy that Kid Rock's lyrics were not Christian, not godly, not American, and Bad Bunny clearly wasn't. We didn't watch either. But doing even part of your episode on it, I think was a waste of time. And I think I didn't watch any of that out of either of them. I did care more about the stuff about Erica on Barron's. I would say fast forward to that part. But I mean, we already knew the stuff about the text. Everyone had done stuff about the text and that inappropriate relationship when she was 15. Barron did bring some new insights into the timeline and the JT Massey and China and all that. So, I mean, that was good. But other than that, not a whole lot of new information came out today. Yeah. But I think a lot of the stuff on the Frank Turek at the end corroborates all the questions we have about Erica, because he's saying completely contradictory things. And that was 6 days after. So good night. Still working, trying, Mystic. Hey, you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless you guys. Hang in there. I'll make sure to put out a new video in the next day or two. And thank you guys for everything. Make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe on your way in or on your way out. And I will see you guys next time.